Greetings all, and welcome to Spooky or Nah. Conspiracy theories come in all shapes and sizes and forms and versions and variations, and you get the idea. Today we're going to look at some of the most common conspiracy theories that are out there. Everything from the assassination of JFK to the moon landings to some other ones. If you haven't heard about these conspiracy theories before, stick around because you're going to hear a little bit about them now. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first conspiracy theory that I want to talk about is the assassination of JFK. Now, the assassination of JFK occurred on November 22nd, 1963. He was struck by 2 bullets, one in the head and one through the neck, and he died later at hospital. It was a tragic day. A US president had been assassinated. But what followed was, well, conspiracies. Lee Harvey Oswald was captured and was charged with the assassination of the president, John F. Kennedy. But for some people, that wasn't the end of the story, because a lot of people believed in a couple of different versions of this theory. The government was involved because they weren't happy with JFK's, I can't remember specifically, the Bay of the Pigs invasion or whatever it was, I can't remember. Then there's also the theory that there was a second shooter. It wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald that was involved in it. And in 2003, ABC News released a poll that basically questioned Americans on what they thought, and 70% of them said that they believed that Kennedy's assassination was part of a broader plot. So there you have it, the assassination of JFK. There's no doubt that obviously he was assassinated. Somebody did kill him. Who killed him? What do I think? I think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. You know, I think that it makes for a perfect conspiracy. Lee Harvey Oswald is the scapegoat. The government wasn't happy with him. If you look it up, I'm not going to go into too much detail, otherwise this video will go for a really long time, but there were a few other things as well that, you know, people were kind of attributing to the fact that, you know, they might have assassinated him, or they might have assassinated him, but I think Lee Harvey Oswald did it. I think he acted alone. That's just my opinion. Number 2, the moon landings. In some date in the 1960s, I believe, that I knew before I started talking, but now I've completely forgot, the US landed on the moon. Or did they? Because there are some theories out there that the US actually faked the moon landing in order to beat Russia to the moon. Now, Russia had been sending unmanned spacecraft and I believe animals as well to space for some time, and to the moon, like rovers and probes and things like that, but never a man. So the US was like, hey, this is great. And mind you, this is this is during the Cold War. This is, a lot's going on at the moment. Russia and the US are at each other's necks. A lot's going on. So the US is like, hey, we can get one up here, and we're going to send a person to the moon. The first person ever. A lot of people believe that the moon landings were faked in order to beat Russia to it. People believed that the US didn't have the capability at the time, nor the research to actually deliver a person to the moon, let alone do it safely. So naturally, people started spinning a few different theories as to what happened. NASA actually had built a training center for the astronauts to go in that was sort of like a fake surface of the moon with a rover and a flag and all that stuff that they would train on before they went to the moon. And a lot of people think that they actually filmed it on a set like that. Now, the smoking gun for conspiracy theorists? The flag. When Buzz Aldrin planted the United States flag on the surface of the moon, conspiracy theorists say that the footage shows the flag moving, waving, which obviously there's no wind in space because it's a vacuum, so it's impossible for the flag to be moving. But NASA clarified this and said that Aldrin was actually moving and twisting the flag into the ground at the time the flag was moving, which obviously caused it to move. Debunked. But it's a pretty cool conspiracy theory either way, because it actually kind of makes sense if the US is thinking, hey, we got to get one up on Russia. Our space program isn't as developed as maybe we'd like it to be. Russia's beating us to the game. Why don't we just stage the moon landing and basically just pull a trump card on Russia? And they're like, how did they get to the moon? And then all of a sudden it causes Russia to invest more and more in their space program, which diverts funds away from the military and from their economy, and in a way it might have been a good Cold War tactic. I guess we'll never know. NASA says it was real, so we just have to believe that. Or do we? Number 3, Area 51. Area 51 is a US Air Force base located approximately 150 miles, which is like a couple hundred kilometers from Las Vegas. Now, the military says that this base is purely for testing experimental military aircraft, secret aircraft, stealth aircraft that they're trying to keep under wraps as to not let the technology and blueprints fall into the wrong hands or an adversary's hands, for example. But a lot of people believe that the government uses Area 51 as a facility to hold extraterrestrial beings. And not only that, but to actually house their spacecraft, to pull apart their technology, to pull apart the aliens, to do all kinds of those, underhanded, very Black Ops style stuff. A lot of people also believe that the aliens from the Roswell crash in 1947 lived there too, or rather went there after the crash. But again, if it is a highly secret military facility, there's a reason that it's locked down. There's a reason that people can't get in there. It's because it's a extremely secret, highly guarded, big military facility that you're not supposed to get into. And talking about aliens, this actually brings me to the last one, which is the Roswell UFO crash. Now, this is kind of a big conspiracy theory, but there's really only one focus. There's only really one sort of thread of this theory that people follow, whereas a lot of other ones have sort of different offshoots of like what could have happened, this and that. But this is one of the OG conspiracy theories, the Roswell crash, because in July 1947, something crashed in Roswell. A local farmer went by, looked at it, sussed it out, found some metallic pieces of something, some wood, some other materials, all earthly materials, but found them nonetheless and reported it. The next day, the local newspaper reported that a flying saucer had crashed in Roswell. And of course, this caused a massive stir and everybody was freaking out, but the Air Force was quick to shoot it down, no pun intended, saying that it was an experimental weather balloon, which many decades later, when it was actually declassified, turned out to be true. It actually was a balloon, but it wasn't a weather balloon, it was a spy balloon. It was part of an operation called Mogul. Now, this operation was also happening at the time that Russia and the US were kind of starting to be a bit feisty towards each other. So they're thinking, hey, we need to spy on the Soviet Union. So Operation Mogul was a project developed and designed to spy on the Soviet Union, among other operations like that. But this operation in particular used very metallic looking weather balloons. And on this day, one happened to crash, and the rest is history. A massive conspiracy theory surrounding aliens, back to the Area 51. They believe the aliens were taken back to Area 51, that the government found a saucer there, that after the crash a bunch of people in black suits rocked up and told people to stay away, which, if this weather balloon is an experimental, highly classified spy technology of the time, I mean, they're obviously going to rock up there and tell people to get away, because they're not going to want anybody to collect any of it or see it, because then it won't be so secret anymore, will it? So there you have it. Some conspiracy theories. These are just a few. There are so many conspiracy theories out there that are just unreal. The things that people come up with and are able to derive out of a story, are able to, sometimes make up, sometimes base off actual, factual evidence, saying this could be a very real conspiracy, this could have really happened. It's just amazing, like, what people can come up with and what they can make out of something. It's, incredible. Anyway, I hope you've liked the video. If you have, great. But also check out my socials. That's a nice, not really a segue into the next part, but check out my socials and give them a follow. The link will be in the description of this video. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet, make sure you do so. Hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so that way you don't miss out on when I post new videos. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you've liked it. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world. If you're sleeping, if you're eating, if you're awake, whatever you're doing, stay safe, have a great time. Oh, and keep it spooky.